can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers.
I want the truth.
You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your hosts on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
And hey, how we doing out there all across this great land of ours and around the world? It's that time once again for the Conservative Syndicate, and we're glad to have you with us today. Nice day out here in California. I don't know what it's like in the rest of the country, but just a nice December day, not too cold. Well, a little chilly, but not too cold, you know. Fortunately, we don't live in that weather strip out there and up north and the northeast. Anyway, I'm sure you didn't tune in here to get a weather report, but I just a nice December day out here. And like I said, well, I guess the reason I always bring that up is because everything else about California has really gone down the toilet over the past couple of decades, but we can still talk about how great the weather is and the diversity in environments and places that you can go. So anyway, glad to have you with us today. We're going to, as much as possible, stay on our topic or get back to our topic on the Electoral College. But because we have today two of our contributors coming on, normally we have one each show, and then that gives Joe and I an hour to talk about the things that we want to talk about. But just things being the way they are, and sometimes, you know, especially with our contributor out there from New York, Audrey Russo, we're kind of at her mercy because of the way her show is set up. And she doesn't have a set schedule by which she can commit to us every single week, because she interviews people during the week and she has to go where the interviews lead and the time and everything else. So everything was all set up. I was supposed to have her on yesterday, but I woke up yesterday morning with all the symptoms of a cold going to hit me, and colds are my kryptonite because of my hearing impairment. Once I get a cold, my hearing mechanisms inflame, and it's almost useless for me to try to listen to anybody. So I was off yesterday, so Audrey gracefully agreed to come on today, and she'll be on with us in the second hour. And then, of course, it's Friday, which means we have Bob Cardosa from the Robert Cardosa Live Show coming on at the bottom of this hour. So I don't know how much we'll get to today, but on the Electoral College. But we will, if we don't get to it today, we will return to it, because I think this is something that really needs to be looked at and really needs to be understood. There are so many, just like everything else the liberals do, everything becomes so twisted and perverted in its interpretation and then how it is used to advance an agenda. And the Electoral College is no exception. So we're going to talk about that. Now, if we can, we're going to try to, because there's other things going on out there. And some of the things that are happening right now, we got to give some airtime to. For instance, if you haven't been hearing, there is another witch hunt going on the, what's that called? It's one of these cable channels, HGTV. I think I've not watched anything on this channel, but I think it's kind of like a home network channel or something where they have like shows about homemaking and renovation and things like that. And they apparently landed another great show out there, a show called Fixer Upper, and it is hosted by Chip and Joanna Gaines down there in Texas somewhere. And I think they're down in Texas. But anyway, the point being is that they're under attack. They've come under that scrutiny of the leftist media, who seems to think that churches are supposed to give up teaching biblical doctrine. I guess for the sake of appeasing, because the Supreme Court has decided, I guess, on an issue, not legislation, but on an issue, the same-sex marriage is constitutional. I guess the supreme law of the land, as liberals believe the Supreme Court to be, unless, of course, the Supreme Court doesn't rule in their favor, at which time you get the same rancor and fervor and all the other crap that you hear. Whenever we on the right are upset about a ruling by the Supreme Court, and those on the right, like myself, just as upset that the Habergeld versus Hodges issue was brought before the Supreme Court. Never should have made it to the Supreme Court. One, it was a state issue. Second, the Supreme Court is supposed to have hearings on laws that are on the books and the constitutionality of them, not issues that somebody wants to bring that started out as a lawsuit at a local level and went through the state Supreme Courts, and now all of a sudden sits in front of the Supreme Court. The counterexample to that, of course, is Proposition 8 out here in California, which the Supreme Court, which is a law that was passed by voters out here in California to put or to define marriage between one man and one woman into the state constitution, not the federal constitution, the state constitution. And the federal Supreme Court refused to hear it, didn't want any part of it, but they felt that they could rule on an issue that was down in the state courts. And anyway, there's been witch hunts out there. You'll remember the bakers, the chapels that have been shut down, the orphanages that have been closed because they wouldn't allow same-sex couples to adopt children. Bake shops, as I said, bake shops, pizza shop. Remember the pizza shop? And then there was a Chick-fil-A. I think you might remember that little incident. So all this, I guess one of the managers at Chick-fil-A asked a same-sex couple that were kissing or something in their restaurant to please refrain from that because there were children there, and it turned into a big deal, and people tried to destroy Chick-fil-A. There was a boycott. It turned out that all the Christians went out there and began to buy Chick-fil-A sandwiches, and I'm telling you, that's quite a sacrifice. They're very good sandwiches, but they're also very expensive. And, all that. So we've had this constant barrage of the left trying now to determine or dictate to the church what they can teach to their congregations based on some ruling on an issue that the Supreme Court handed down, not even a law, not even a piece of legislation. So the Gaines family, they're devout Christians. They attend Antioch Community Church, and they have a pastor named Jimmy Siebert, who is staunchly against same-sex marriage and a strong believer that homosexuality is a lifestyle choice and a sin. It is not something determined by your DNA. Although, there are times I have floated the idea, and one of these days I may get into my explanation as to, I think, how DNA may play into it. But in my interpretation of things, or my theory, this is not gospel, if I can use that phrase. My theory is that there may be something to the DNA argument with homosexuality, but that would be a generational curse, according to the Bible, something that's passed down genetically through the immoral activities and actions of the previous generation or even the generation before that. And I've talked briefly about it on this show. Maybe someday I'll really take the time to expound on that. But anyway, the point being is that I guess there's a lot of homosexuals, or they claim there's a lot of homosexuals that watch the show. And BuzzFeed, I guess one of these rags, probably the equivalent to what the National Enquirer used to be, came out with this thing that because the pastor is so anti-gay, that must mean that the hosts, Chip and Joanna Gaines, must be anti-gay too. And that would be misrepresentative of what society is supposed to accept today, and therefore they should be eradicated from the network at HGTV. But they can't really do that because apparently Chip and Joanna Gaines haven't really made any public statements one way or the other, although I did see them on an interview where they just said, we're not anti-gay, we're pro-people. Okay, they kind of brushed it off, which is something that I want to expound on here when we come back from the break, because it exemplifies and demonstrates a larger problem. And the larger problem being that which I believe has contributed to the complicity of the Christian church and the rise and advancement of the liberal agenda through the likes of Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama, who claim to be Christians but don't have the fruit, if I can use that phrase. Those of you who are Christians know what I'm talking about. You judge a tree by its fruit. There is no fruit. You can't get good fruit from a bad tree. That is a biblical concept and principle. And so I'm going to talk a little bit about that when we get back here for the break, because it so well plays into not only what has happened in the past 5, 6, maybe even 7 election cycles that we've had in this country, but what will continue to be the major hurdle. You talk about Donald Trump building a wall down on the border. We need to tear down the wall of separation between church and state in this country. So I'm going to attempt to breach that topic a little bit when we get back here. But stay with us right now. We got to go to a break. We'll be right back here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. Then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who is still on vacation. I'm expecting him back next week. I know he gave me the dates, and for the life of me, I can't remember when he said he was going to be back, but I'm sure he'll probably be back next week. In fact, I'll probably shoot him out a message tonight and see what's going on since it's the weekend, just to get an idea of what's going on. But hey, Joe deserves the time off. Believe me, this guy, I sometimes run him ragged. I'll send him pre-show notes. And then as he gets on the air here, I shoot something else at him as he's getting on the air. And plus, he's coming straight from work, getting on the air. So he's not always on the same page with me when he comes on, but he does a great job of following along. But he's been really important to me in terms of researching things. As we're talking on the air sometimes, I get tied up here talking, and he's shooting me information, that we may not be aware of. But his biggest asset to me is that he has covered the show several times when I take vacation, and does a bang-up job with that. So he's had the opportunity to enjoy some family and go out and do something a little bit different. And I just let him go, have some fun. Anyway. If you are listening out there, Joe, we miss you, but take your time, my friend. Take your time. All right, back to the same-sex marriage thing. The latest target here is a couple, Chip and Joanna Gaines. They've got a show down there at HDTV. I don't know what it is that the media seems to think now that there are certain aspects of TV, cable in particular, that I guess are... and maybe in their mind, is designed to pander to or cater to the homosexual community. I get the biggest kick out of the homosexuals joining the Black Lives Matter and the illegal immigrant movement and everything else. Donald Trump is a genderqueer hater or whatever terms they want to throw at him. He just hates everybody that isn't just a white. A WASP, a white Anglo-Saxon Protestant. But I always found that kind of ironic since Donald Trump owned the, the Miss America or the Miss Universe pageant. I'm not sure which one. I don't really care. I think it was Miss Universe. And which is, I guess, the event of the year in the homosexual community. And here we have, I guess, HGTV, I guess because, the homosexuals are so much into trying to perpetrate the idea that they are, quote, family, and therefore they have the same inclinations as a heterosexual family, and therefore I guess they look at shows like this and they think this stuff is great, I'm sure these shows are okay. I don't know. I don't watch them, so I can't really comment on the content. But apparently BuzzFeed thinks that this particular show has a large homosexual audience, and because of that, of course, the host should accept homosexuality and just kind of discard their Christianity, throw it off to the side, which actually so many Christians do. I think some of the most vehement attacks I've received on my stance on homosexuality have been from Christians. And these pseudo-intellectuals or pseudo-Christians, as I call them, their whole idea is that we'll love them into the kingdom of God. Well, yeah, I understand the concept of loving one into the kingdom of God. We are directed by our Lord and Savior to do that, to love people in spite of who they are, because we too are sinners. And yes, we're told not to judge or will be judged with the same measure. I understand all that. But the Bible nowhere at any point in time, and in any point in its writings, and any point in the teachings of Jesus, has said, accept and condone the sin of the sinner, and in that way you'll love them into the kingdom. You'll build the bridge that will allow them to come into the kingdom with their lifestyle, and everybody will just be hunky-dory happy, and we'll all join hands and sing Kumbaya until that day of judgment when that person practicing that lifestyle, or any lifestyle for that matter, against scriptural doctrine of the Bible, being adultery, being immorality of any sorts, murder, theft, all these things. See, God doesn't take one sin and say, well, because, maybe you just feel different. Maybe because you think I created you to be a woman and I just accidentally stuck you in the body of a man, or vice versa. Or maybe, as the pansexuals say, maybe you think that my creation is something that you can all go around and rub your genitals on, that kind of stuff, that we'll all just get along, In the words of John Lennon, imagine no heaven and no hell, that kind of thing. And you're not loving anybody by allowing them or condoning what they do if you know it's wrong in the eyes of God. And you just condone it by either complicit response, not saying anything, or accepting it as being something that it's just okay. It's okay. And I've used my own examples here. We have people in our family. My oldest stepson is a homosexual, although I would grant to him the one thing about him is he is abstinent. He's a heterosexual. He calls himself one. Or a homosexual, I'm sorry, but he does not have a partner, and as far as we know, never has. He just has a tendency to see himself in a very feminine manner, and he acts accordingly. But I have explained to him why I have the views that I have, and it doesn't mean that we love him any less. It doesn't mean that we ostracize him and throw him out there in the red zone. What I've told him is there are certain things you can say and do in front of me that I'll accept, and there's certain things you can say and do in front of me that I won't. And one of them is you'll never bring one of your partners into my house if you ever get one. I will not condone a relationship like that. I will not go to a wedding. I will not do anything like that. And if I'm asked, I will express my opinions, what I believe to be true, because that is what God commands us to do. So, that kind of thing. But anyway, back to the show here, or to what's going on here is that once again, the homosexual community is crying out that the network remove these people from their lineup, their show lineup. And they're not the first one. There was another show, I think it was two guys or something. They had, I think, a show similar to this. I don't remember the details of it. But I think the same thing happened where they were actually ended up being thrown off the air. Because of their views, they stated their views on homosexuality, meaning that they believed marriage was between a man and a woman. And I think they went down the tubes. And so now they're out there doing it again. Well, the point being is that everybody's waiting for Chip and Joanna Gaines to come out and make some kind of statement. And as of I know of right now, they have yet to do that. But the point being is that the way the media is painted in is that whether or not they actually have views pro or con on homosexuality. The point being is that they go to a church where the pastor has, from the pulpit, talked about the sin of homosexuality and the abomination that God finds it or declares it to be. And therefore, they're guilt by association kind of thing. And that's what the liberals are going to do. You're going to see it even more because they lost on this strategy of divide and conquer along racial lines, cultural lines, socioeconomic lines, and of course, gender lines. But they're going to double down on it. And the reason we know they're going to double down on it is because, well, nothing's changed in the Democrat Party. Nancy Pelosi is still the minority leader. The media is still out there talking about the same issues, still walking that line, still out there touting that white America is America only because of white oppression against all of the minorities and religions and gender preferences and everything else. Now, how does that play into the bigger picture, the bigger narrative, which is what I really wanted to get to? I'm looking at an article here from Pew Research Center, written by Jessica Martinez on November 22nd of last month. Most say their churches remained above the electoral fray this year. And this is what I mean. I've used this phrase before on the show here, but I use it a lot when I'm in front of church groups. The phrase is, you're so heavenly minded that you are of no earthly use. And this is how I address pseudo-Christians. The ones that are just so spiritual and just so above it all that they won't comment on anything political. They won't vote if they can find any flaw within a candidate. You know, like so many Christians wouldn't vote for Donald Trump because of his treatment of women, that kind of thing. Of course, some of these people voted for Hillary Clinton who believes killing babies in the womb is okay, or that same-sex marriage is okay. But Donald Trump, with his vulgar mouth and his views on women as sexual objects, that was just it. That was too much. That was just too much. Or not voting for Mitt Romney back in 2012 because he was a Mormon. That's just that red line you can't cross. Yet during the Trump candidacy, I heard so many Christians talk about the honorable disposition of Mitt Romney and what an honorable man he was, and why didn't Mitt Romney get up there? Why wasn't he the nominee? Because he's such an honest guy. And turns out that we find out Romney is like the king operative for the establishment. And by the way, talked very much like many Christians about Donald Trump. So anyway, that's what I mean, is that the church will indict, the church will condemn, and they will judge the immorality of somebody else, but they do absolutely nothing to stop it. They do absolutely nothing to stand against it. So this Pew Research Center poll or survey is telling us that the vast majority of Christian churches out there, whether they be Catholic or Protestant, refrained from doing anything politically, refrained from talking about the candidates, refrained from talking about the morality and the backgrounds of these candidates. So what we're seeing here, I'm just going to give you a couple of the quick details here. So it says here, the Tomanist presidential campaign may have dominated conversation in other walks of life this year, but there was little explicit discussion about the election or the candidates in America's houses of worship, according to the new Pew Research Center survey data. Among voters who report attending religious services at least once a month, relatively few say information on political parties or candidates was made available to them in their places of worship, only 14% in this survey. And even fewer say they were encouraged to vote in a particular way by their clergy, 5%. Similarly, very few voters overall say they were contacted by religious organizations about the election, 6%. So we're saying that less than 6% of any given, the body of Christ, the kingdom of God, the ambassadors to the kingdom of God, said anything. The shepherds out there who are supposed to be guiding their sheep said very little and were guilty as always, which has allowed this big vacuum that has allowed progressivism to come into play, just void of any opinion. And the reason being, well, it tells us here that many of them were just feel threatened by the 501c tax laws that say thou shalt not talk about candidates or lose your tax exemption. Of course, we know that isn't true because that's where Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama went out and talked and preached and advocated their candidacies in the churches. Of course, it was a different kind of church, but the point being, They're still 501c3s, and didn't see the IRS go after them. So it's just another indictment on the church that they once again sat on the sidelines and avoided their responsibility as shepherds. God help you when you stand before the one who ordained you a shepherd. We'll be right back. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away.
Hey, I'll make you a deal. Give me 60 seconds and I'll give you directions to the Fountain of Youth. Okay, I'm joking. Well, kind of joking. No fountains, but youth, I got Nature's Youth and their premier anti-aging product, Nature's Youth RSF. With your sensible diet and exercise plan, Nature's Youth RSF can help you look and feel better. RSF is an all-natural amino acid supplement that supports your body to naturally increase HGH levels without any synthetic hormones. And elevated HGH levels can contribute to increased energy, improved libido, reduced body fat, and improved exercise capacity. Let's be honest. Who doesn't want to look and feel younger? Visit the newly designed website at naturesyouth.com or call 800-333-6923. That's 800-333-6923 and like them on Facebook and you'll be included in contests and exclusive offers. What a deal. Oh, speaking of deals, my time's about up. 800-333-6923 or naturesyouth.com. Who needs a fountain anyway? Call today.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
When I had a heart attack at 42, I was not sure what the future held. But a year later, the doctors could find nothing wrong with me and took me off all my medication. What did I do? I took a herbal mixture of garlic, cayenne, and a few other herbs mixed in liquid form. I now call this Extendovite. I would have never believed that a few simple herbs could actually change my life like they did. Now it's your turn to see what the powers of garlic and cayenne can do for you. For only $69.95 plus shipping and handling for a 2-month supply of either capsules or liquid, you too can begin on your path to better health. For more information, call 1-877-928-8822. That's 1-877-928-8822. Or visit our website at heartdrop.com.
Extend your life with Extendovite.
I've owned my company for 14 years now, and I can tell you that payroll is a 4-letter word. I hate doing it. It eats up hours I don't have, and it costs me money I could be saving. But my accountant's too expensive, and I'm not sure who to call, but I know I need help.
We're Paychex, and we take all the hassles out of small business payroll. We save you time and money. It's easy. Call, fax, or give us your payroll information securely online, and we take care of the rest. We calculate the correct taxes, manage payments and direct deposits. We even send out your checks. Payroll doesn't need to be a 4-letter word anymore. We're so sure that we can save you time and money that we'll give you a month's payroll free. Just for calling 877-663-3830. Get 1 month's payroll for free. Call Paychex right now. 877-663-3830. That's 877-663-3830.
Hey, I don't back anybody unless I believe in them. And I do believe in the value of investing in gold and silver. And the company I trust to buy my gold and silver from is Swiss America. I've been working with them for nearly a decade. I trust them, and you can too. Swiss America will help you sort through and find the best options available when you're considering investing in gold and silver coins. Listen, for over 30 years, Swiss America has been offering Americans what they want in their investments: safety, liquidity, quality, reliability, and a potential profit. Gold and silver have a place in every investor's portfolio. So, why not let Swiss America help you diversify your investment portfolio now? Call now for free information. 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907, 800-978-3907.
Hey, Bugsy, you hear the news about Vinny?
Yeah, it's a real shame. He owed money to the IRS and they finally caught up with him.
Just like Al Capone.
If the IRS can get to Capone, imagine what they can do to little old Vinny, huh?
Poor cat, he was on top of the world, then bada boom, bada bing.
What Vinny needs now is an offer he can't refuse.
Hey, you got a tax problem? Does the IRS claim you owe them a bunch of dough? They can get you too. So call the tax relief line now and learn if you qualify to negotiate your $10,000 plus IRS tax debt for up to a 75% savings. Don't be like Al or Vinny and get busted. Make this free call now. Learn how you may be able to pay the IRS less.
Call now. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474. 866-657-8474.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. And you're listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, and we have, I had Robert Cardoso here on the line just for a moment ago. And, let's try to call him back. He said he got disconnected somehow. But, so we hear his lines ringing out there, and we'll get him on. So, you there, Bob?
Yeah, I sure am.
Okay, all right. I don't know if you understood what was going on here. When you called in, you weren't disconnected. You just probably weren't hearing the commercials.
Oh, it's because it said not taking calls.
Man, I got to figure out what the hell is going on with this thing, because I tested it before the show. I actually tested it before the show and called in, and I was able to connect. I'm not sure what's going on here. Somebody ought to kick Bill Gates' ass. I'm telling you. What he has done to Skype since Microsoft took this thing over is just a joke. Anyway. So, haven't talked to you in a long time, my friend. How you doing?
Well, you know what? Doing well. Everything is going well. I'm hopeful that we're going to have a terrific new administration. Things seem to be going in the right direction, even though people don't appear to be very patient. I'm confident that things are going to go well here.
Yeah, I'm like I said, I'm not holding Donald Trump up to some kind of inobtainable level of what he's supposed to accomplish. As I said, I'm sticking to my thing. Give me the Supreme Court we want, and help jumpstart the economy, and all the rest of the stuff. Just tell everybody to blow sand. It's just. There's so much that's going to be happening. I mean, you're already starting to get a flavor of how the left is going to treat this thing. I was telling friends the other day that we can expect Donald Trump to know every time Donald Trump passes gas, and have the media tell us why and what he should have eaten to avoid that. They're going to rip everything apart. But one thing is I found ironic here. Last week I was listening to, I think it was on CNN, because I spend as little time as possible on these networks, but I do check them out just to see what they're talking about. And they were talking about how, discombobulated Trump's transit team is. They're just blowing it at every opportunity. And then I hear last night on Don Lemon that this is the fastest any president-elect has been able to make selections for cabinets at all, since it's like he's moving at a record level of getting appointments in place. Not that I agree with all of them, which is what I wanted to talk to you about. The big one out there right now is the Secretary of State position out there, and the rancor and the outrage that I'm hearing is even the idea of entertaining Mitt Romney as Secretary of State. And
I gotta tell you, John. I listen to all these political pundits. I listen to all the media and all the stuff going on, and they're all trying to second guess this very successful businessman who everyone says, hey, he's a guy that gets things done. He doesn't play around, doesn't get things done. And you know what? You look at the people he's picking, including if it turns out to be a Mitt Romney, whether it is or it doesn't. He's got a lot of choices going on. The truth is he's picking people that have tremendous amounts of experience in all of the areas that he says he wants to change. So when they say, hey, he's picking guys from Wall Street, yeah, who else would you pick from than the top guys from Wall Street if you want to know how to dismantle it? You're not going to pick somebody that doesn't know anything about it. And if you talk about a Mitt Romney, whether you like the guy or don't, and I don't, but here's the thing. Mitt Romney does have connections with all of these people. He's a big, successful businessman. He knows people in every country that we're dealing with, and he's going to get an entree that no one else will. If he'll go out there and represent the things that Trump wants, then why would we be opposed to that?
Well, for me, I have one real big thing about Mitt Romney. Of course, it goes back to the campaign. He was a vicious opponent to Donald Trump.
Oh, yeah. Yes.
And
yes, he was.
That tells me something. It tells me, one, about the character of Mitt Romney that I thought was pretty much beyond reproach up until this election cycle, when I realize now that he's like one of the main point guys for the establishment. But the thing
is, he's for sale, just like everybody, just like the other 16 guys that everybody that was against him in the primaries were just castigating him and bombasting him. And now all of a sudden they're all turning around because who's got the power? Donald Trump's got the power. And if Mitt Romney wants to stay connected, he's going to have to get down on one knee and genuflect.
Oh, yeah, I get that. And I understand. But see, that in and of itself is my gut check. I get my gut check here. Why would you want to put somebody that is so connected to the establishment in your inner circle? That's kind of like giving a free conduit to everything that's going on and allowing the enemy to see everything that you're doing. He came into this.
Well, it could.
Well,
It could very, John, it could very well be that, but it could also be the key that opens the door that lets Trump get the things done that he needs to get done.
I get that.
A lot of these people are resisting Trump just because his name is Trump, for Pete's sake. Now, if he sends an emissary in that is accepted by the establishment, and that emissary is able to convince them that, hey, he's going to do this with you or without you, but if he does it with you, we're all going to get credit, we're all going to move forward, and we're going to see what changes can actually take place.
And I'm sure that's his thinking, but I'm not so sure that is wise thinking in this particular regard. Yeah. I can look everything else I'm looking at. There's but see here's another bridge. Let's look at it this way. Talking about trying to reach over and draw some of the elites into the circle. Let's look at a little less damaging way of doing that. He selected Secretary of Transportation, Elaine Chao. All right. Do you know anything about Elaine Chao?
Oh, yeah. I don't know that she's ever accomplished anything. I don't know that much about her. I do know she's married to Mitch McConnell. That kind of bothers me because the two of them are going to be at loggerheads. Because McConnell was bitterly opposed to Trump and still is against most of the things that Trump wants to do. I'm not sure how his Secretary of Transportation is going to make that better. Although, if anybody could, I'm guessing she could.
Well, she has a long history with the establishment. She was a labor secretary under George W. Bush, and her family has direct ties to the president of China. Okay, her father went to school with the president of China. She has, they have a huge shipping business. This guy's a billionaire, and he is the man that funded Mitch McConnell into the Senate. All right, so what I'm seeing here is because of the fact that Donald Trump has talked a lot during his campaign about how China is basically just wiping the face of the earth with everything, with the way they're doing their stuff, the devaluing of their currency and the amount of debt that the United States owes them and all this other stuff. See, that to me is a viable tie. That's somebody that you can say, hey, I brought your old lady under my cabinet here. So what can you do to help us get this
John, that's exactly the point that I was making. You bring the people in, even though you don't like them, but they're the ones that can open the doors at levels of government that you need to be able to approach. And if Chao is the person that can open the door to the president of China to get them to start relaxing and to do something about North Korea and to intervene and do those things, well, gee, that makes a lot of sense, doesn't it?
Oh, yes, it does. But the point being is that this woman is not in the inner circle. The inner circle, the people that are going to be sitting there making national security decisions and stuff like that. That's my issue with Romney. Romney and Trump are on opposite ends of the spectrum when it comes to foreign policy. Now, he may be bringing Romney in there because of that. He may be saying, yeah, I want somebody on the other side here so that we can do something. I just don't think it's wise to bring in somebody who was very public and vocal about not liking you, thinking you're a lunatic, thinking that you have no business being president, and now you're going to bring him into your inner circle and say, hey, I'm going to let you sit right next to me as we talk about how to dismantle ISIS. I just...
But there's another side of that play as well, John, and that is hey, you know what? First of all, Mitt Romney sits there as an opportunist with egg on his face because all of a sudden Trump is treating him with the respect that he didn't treat Trump with. But at the same time, Trump is saying, okay, look, I don't want a yes man necessarily. I want to listen to everything you got to say because I want to be objective. But when it comes right down to it, you work for me and you do what I tell you to do.
Oh yeah, and that's the question. Will Romney be an ally, or will he be that other voice to such a degree that there's all this dissension and decisions don't get made? I don't know. But my gut check tells me not a good choice. Whereas somebody like John Bolton, who has years and decades of experience in the foreign theater, who has actually been there, ambassador to the UN. I mean, you don't get a whole lot closer to what is going on and have such a good idea of what's happening here. If I was to put,
John, if you look at what Trump is doing, what you can see is he's not picking political allies so much. He's picking business acumen allies to be in his cabinet. John Bolton doesn't really fit that match.
Yeah, well, I think when it comes to national security, I think the whole concept of business per se should kind of sit on the back burner. We've got to get, you get rid of ISIS, and then we can talk, on down that line. But right now, we got to.
I agree with that.
Yeah, we got to get this. We got to get this thing taken care of here. If it was me, I know in my opinion, the perfect spot for Mitt Romney would have been put him over the VA. And let him tear that VA apart and rebuild it, because that's one thing Romney has a very strong strength, rebuilding corporations that have failed and stuff like that. And I think there would be a man.
No, I agree with that.
He could take that and he could really turn that around, and he wouldn't have access to all the things that are going on, but could put his skills to work in I think a very productive way. Anyway, we got to go to a quick break here now, just to key up here. Bob, you probably won't hear the commercials. That doesn't mean that you've been disconnected, all right?
Okay, I'll stay on.
Okay. All right, guys, we've got Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live with us. We'll be right back with it in just a moment. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room. Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
theconservativesyndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. We're back, and this is the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who's still out on vacation, enjoying time with his family out there in the Midwest somewhere. I think it's in Ohio, the Rust Belt, as I heard it referred to yesterday. We have with us, I guess I need to use proper English. We have with us Bob Cardoso from Robert Cardoso Live doing his bi-weekly segment with us here. Bob streams out there 3 to 5 p.m. out here in the West Coast and 6 to 8 out on the East Coast. You can catch him at his website, robertcardosalive.com, and find out all the information you need, broadcast times, and places where you can pick him up. Okay, let's kind of shift gears here a little bit, Bob, because I was just elated, big capital letters, elated, that the Democrats decided to keep Nancy Pelosi as head of the minority group.
Yeah, well, you know what? You know what? She seems to be accomplishing all the things that conservatives want her to accomplish, right?
Yeah, I thought I was really, I was so afraid. I thought these people had a moment of clarity, and they were going to put somebody else in there. I think Representative Tim Ryan,
yeah,
who actually garnered 63 votes. I think that's the most. That Pelosi's ever had.
That's a big deal when you think about it. That's a third of the votes.
Yeah,
they had that caucus. That's a big deal. You know, Nancy Pelosi is getting some kind of a message, even though she got her minority leadership back. But she got some kind of a message there.
And you know, the thing is, listening to her talk, I was just the more she talked, the more elated I became. I felt like Chris Matthews with a thrill running down my leg. As I'm listening to this woman talk about how, well, we've won before and we can win again. They haven't won anything really since 2006. You know, they won the White House with Barack Obama, but it wasn't because of the Democrats. It was because everybody bought into the lie that he was the outsider. Everybody thought, Obama.
John, under her tenure, they have lost the seats in the Congress, both in the Senate and in the House. They've lost the state government legislatures. They've lost all this stuff under her tenure. She's the one that is taking this thing backwards.
Well, I personally believe it was Barack Obama that's cost him all this stuff, but she certainly hasn't been able to stop it. You know, she hasn't been able to turn it around. But and even listening to Obama the other day or reading his interview in Rolling Stone, blamed Fox News for Trump winning. And I'm thinking, I'm sitting here going, did you guys not watch Fox News? There wasn't anybody on Fox News that was a Trump supporter outside of Sean Hannity. The rest of them,
that's right.
You know, Bill O'Reilly was kind of neutral. Megyn Kelly hated him. You could tell every time she talked about him, she hated him. Chris Wallace was trying to, put his mark out there as the latest gotcha commentator. I mean, there was nobody. Karl Rove was showing up every night. John McCain was showing up every night. Lindsey Graham was showing up every night that he wasn't drinking wine, and he's out there, and they were all.
I got to tell you, I find John, I find it very interesting, and not just Fox News, but all of the media, whether it be print media or electronic media or TV or whatever it might be. I find it very interesting. They're all trying to second guess Donald Trump. They're all just belittling this man before he's even taken the oath of office, questioning everything he plans to do, even though he talked about it during his campaign. That's why he got elected. And, it just drives me crazy. These guys are all trying to second guess him. They all know more than he does, right?
Oh, I don't know. This stuff is just every day that I listen to the news now. As you said, I don't spend a whole lot of time listening to the news, but the dead time that I have between showtime and getting editing done, and then the evening hours, which my wife and I have shows that we watch together. There's about an hour dead time. It usually falls in when Megyn Kelly's on the air. And so what I do is I watch her, and then I flip over to Don Lemon on CNN, and then I go to Rachel Madcow over in MSLSD and all these other places just to see what they're doing. You know, just see what are they talking about compared to what the other person's talking about. And I just get thrills down my leg how these people have not figured out to this day what happened, and they're still trying to measure everything by the standard template that they've used to measure everything else. And I'm watching it and going, you people are, if you ever wake up, you're going to want to commit suicide, because you're going to realize just how wrong you are about everything. So I was just, like I said, ecstatic that they're going to keep Nancy Pelosi there, thinking that, let's just keep doing, they now are what? The example of insanity.
John, that's one hurdle that Trump won't have to get over. That's one challenge he won't have to deal with.
Oh yeah, and I'm just waiting. The only thing I'm waiting now to see is just how bad Dick Schumer blows it now that Harry Reid has gone back to rustling cattle out there in Nevada. It's going to be fun to watch. These people.
Well, Chuck Schumer is a dangerous man. I'm going to tell you, he's got connections and things behind the scenes. That what really has to happen is Donald Trump has got to get to him and and work out some kind of a program, because Chuck Schumer, he's a dangerous guy, well-connected guy, been around for a lot of years.
Yeah,
he knows where all the skeletons are. You got to watch him.
I think the guy that everybody should keep their eye on, and probably won't, will be Harry Reid. Because I think once he's out of office, he's got no longer any shackles. Not that he had any to begin with, but nobody's going to be watching this guy. This guy, he's going to be like Barney Frank. Barney Frank is out there behind the scenes doing things, and people don't even know he's doing it.
You're right. Yeah, you're right. Barney Frank is one of those guys. But you know what? They haven't picked the DNC chairman yet. And nobody's even talking about it anymore right now. There's something that's off in the wings there someplace that's going to surprise everybody. And it wouldn't surprise me too much if it weren't a Barney Frank or a Harry Reid.
Oh, yeah. Well, I mean, operatives just never go away. They just don't go away. I think if we learned anything in this cycle, that once you're part of the establishment elite, it's kind of like being a member of the mafia. You can't retire. Because there's nowhere for you to go.
There's only one way out, and that's in a pine box.
Yeah, because if you walk away from the organization needs to silence you.
Yeah.
Or maybe go the route of Debbie Wasserman Schultz. We'll make you honorary chairman or something. So we know where you're at. We keep you within arm's reach and that kind of stuff. So anyway, we're coming up on the end of our time together, Bob. I wanted to give you a moment to promote your show.
Well, you know what? We broadcast every Monday through Friday from 3 p.m. to 5 p.m. Pacific time. You can go to my website at robertcardozalive.com and find out all our hours and the things that are going on there. We would encourage you to get our app. Just go to your app store and search Robert Cardozo Live. It's right there, absolutely free, and you can listen to us anytime you want at your convenience, 24/7, except when you're listening to my good buddy John Matthews. John? Listen, on Monday we're going to do this the same way, and maybe it might be better if you go ahead and give me a call.
Yeah, we'll do that so we don't have to eat up airtime talking about what went wrong.
Yeah. So just go ahead and call me on the same number you just called me on, and I'll just we'll do it that way, and then maybe one of these days you and I can get together and check this thing out and see what the heck's going on. All
right. Well, you take care, my friend. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. Take care.
All right. Okay, guys. Time here, coming up at the top of the hour here. Time for the Edwards Notebook. We'll pay some bills, and then we'll get back. Next hour, Audrey Russo from Real Talk Radio will be with us, and we'll continue a little bit on this cabinet choices of Donald Trump, and we got some other stuff. So stay with us. We'll be right back.
Is America being plagued by slobs or liars? Hello, I'm Ron Edwards. On today's page from the Edwards Notebook, as an American, I am embarrassed by the millennial generation display of utter disdain for America, the rule of law, and common decency. However, the real blame for the young adult crybabies on college campi throughout our republic and the nighttime streetwalkers who seek to kill the American dream, steal our national joy, and destroy private property lies with the hippy-dippy era parents who raised them along with the legions of government school educators who did their best to indoctrinate students against authentic American history, real science, Judeo-Christian ethics, and even the traditional family. It is comical to witness individuals who claim great fear over the possibility of Trump harming Muslims, immigrants, LGBTQ people, and minorities. First of all, Trump consistently called out illegal immigrants, Muslim terrorists, LGBTQ activists, and other progressive groups who were not genuinely seeking equal participation in America, but are working to overcome our laws and ultimately destroy our way of life. And that's the truth of the matter. I'm Ron Edwards. Blowing away the myths and revealing the truth. You can continue to blow away the myths with Ron Edwards on Facebook, Twitter, and theronedwards.com.
A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. The Conservative Syndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
Prices are for base buildings only. May not be available in some areas. Attention business owners, do you want a stimulus package that really works? Before you spend thousands of dollars more than you should on your next building project, listen to this. General Steel has a stimulus package designed to help you save as much as half the cost of conventional construction on your next building. As much as half. That's right, General Steel can save you thousands of dollars with a pre-engineered steel building designed for your business or church. How about a 50 by 100 foot building for under $30,000? So don't pay thousands more than you should without calling General Steel first and save as much as half the cost and time of conventional construction. With the projected demand for steel in Japan and China, prices may be skyrocketing.
877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. 877-927-3360. Term life insurance. It can be a powerful way to protect your assets and your family. You work hard to earn and save your money to build a nest egg for the future. Don't let it get wiped out because you didn't plan ahead. Take the time now and make a small investment in $500,000 or more in quality term life insurance. Call the Term Lifeline and let us shop the best companies to give you the lowest rates. We specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. Ask about some of our 10 and 20-year fixed rate plans with guaranteed rates. Call the Term Lifeline right now for your free insurance quote. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609. You owe it to yourself to protect your family and your assets. Make term life insurance part of that plan. Call the Term Lifeline right now. 800-870-3609. 800-870-3609.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Read something recently worth thinking about. It's the soldier, not the campus organizer, who's given us freedom to demonstrate. It's the soldier, not the reporter, who's given us freedom of the press. It's the soldier, not the poet, who's given us freedom of speech. It's the soldier who serves under the flag, who defends the protesters' right to burn the flag. Isn't it time now to demonstrate that we support our troops? Were it not for the brave, there'd be no land of the free.
Fred Thompson's message was brought to you by citizensunited.org.
can do is just tell the truth and trust in the American people that over time they're going to know what the truth is.
Yes, it is time for the truth. Right here, right now. This is the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from real conservatives. With your host, John Matthews.
The latter-day prophet. Baying against the hypocrisies of our time.
And Joe Hakos.
You want answers. I want the truth. You can't handle the truth.
The Conservative Syndicate is comprised of some of the most informed pundits and activists available today. Together, we seek to tear down the imaginary wall, a separation between church and state through education, information, and engagement on the religion of politics and the politics of religion. And now, your host on the globally syndicated Conservative Syndicate, John Matthews and Joe Hakos.
Okay, hey, we're back. Hour 2 right here at the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who's on vacation, and probably will be back next week. I think I might actually interrupt his vacation and shoot him a little message here after I get off the air tonight and just see what's going on here. I've made it a point not to bother him with what we're doing here while he enjoys being with his family and a well-deserved time off. So anyway, we were talking with Bob Cardosa last hour here, and one of the things that we had been talking about during the course of that conversation was whether or not Mitt Romney would be a wise choice by Donald Trump to sit in the position of Secretary of State. And my view was is simply because his ties to the establishment. And I just think that it would be wrong to have somebody sitting so close to ground zero in the White House, somebody that can use what's being said to help strategize in 2020 to displace Trump. Should he be successful during his first term? I'm not so sure that we need Donald Trump a second term. I don't know because I've yet to see, or it's just to be determined how this thing is all going to play out. Trump has basically broken most of the rules that everybody's used to playing by, so it's really all speculation when we talk about what could or could not happen or what will or won't happen. So many people are, Trump's going to fix this. Well, we don't know that Trump's going to fix everything or anything. And that's why I wouldn't want somebody like Mitt Romney sitting next to me as I'm making decisions, and he can turn around and go to the likes of John McCain or a Lindsey Graham or a Lamar Alexander, and even people on the other side, Dick Durbin, Chuck Schumer, people like this, and they can plot covertly against Donald Trump. Make it fail, so what? So that they can put their establishment guy in 2020. That's my problem with the whole thing. That's just the pessimistic side of me that understands how the establishment works now, real clear. And I'll give you an example of what I'm talking about here. Lindsey Graham is siding up with Senate Minority Whip Dick Durbin, and they are trying to come up with legislation that would protect the Dreamers. You know who the Dreamers are, the DACA people, the people that under executive order Obama said can't be touched, the people that the liberals say deserve to be here under Amendment 14 of the Constitution, that they're under the U.S. jurisdiction because they were born here, not that they're under the jurisdiction of their parents who are here illegally, which is the proper interpretation of that amendment. And so Lindsey Graham and Dick Durbin are working on a bill that would allow children who are in the United States illegally to stay here if they grew up in the country and have had not significant run-ins with the law. Durbin, Graham, and other lawmakers are worried that if Trump rescinds Obama's executive action shielding the children of undocumented immigrants from deportation, it would result in chaos for hundreds of thousands of young people. Graham told The Hill, you can't blame these kids for coming here. You can't blame these kids for coming out of the shadows. They're out of the shadows, and now we know who they are. If we cancel the executive order, what happens to them? We deport them all? So what we have here is an establishment operative in the form of Lindsey Graham, and he is
conspiring to undercut what Donald Trump says he is going to do once he takes office, and that is to curtail illegal immigration. Now, Trump has laid out very plainly that his priorities is securing the border, building the wall, stopping the influx of incoming illegals, deporting those who are here, criminal elements, those who have been incarcerated, those who have committed crimes. Those are the ones that he wants out first. He says there's somewhere between 2 and 3 million. And then he says, after we get all that done, then we'll talk about things like this. So, but the point being is, what is Lindsey Graham doing? He's posturing. He's posturing to undermine and undercut Donald Trump's promise to the American people. Because, see, people like Lindsey Graham and Mitch McConnell and John McCain don't really think that the American public is smart enough to really know just how much these people operate behind the scenes to circumvent their own platform. See, the Republicans have a great platform. Read the Republican platform sometime. It's listed on the RNC website. One of the best platforms they've ever had. Almost strictly conservative down the line. But that's not how they vote, and it's not how they operate, and it's not how they legislate or don't legislate. See, what they're trying to do is Graham's falling into that same pattern that the rest of the elites are falling into. They still haven't figured out that the American people don't want any part of what they want to do. And so they'll just try to do it on their own without the approval of the American public. And they'll do it through filibusters. They'll do it through pandering. They'll do it through whatever they can do to keep Trump from accomplishing anything that he's promised, because they don't want a Trump second term. They didn't want a Trump first term. They wanted somebody like Mitt Romney in there, somebody who would rely on the establishment to make decisions and preserve their positions of power and wealth. That's what it's all about. So that's what I mean. Lindsey Graham is a perfect example of what I'm talking about when you talk about whether Mitt Romney should be in the inner circle of a Trump administration, hearing all the details and knowing everything that's going on, understanding and knowing the thinking and being able to use that to circumvent Trump's attempts to turn the country around and make America great again, if we can coin his phrase. Okay, we got to go to break. When we come back, we should have Audrey Russo with us from Real Talk Radio. So stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. Don't go away. A healthy attitude toward politics will always be relentlessly cynical. TheConservativeSyndicate.net, doing our part to keep America healthy.
When our water heater broke down last month, it was a nightmare. It took 5 hours for the plumber to show up, and he charged us a couple of $100 just to come out. And then it cost another $1,800 to put in the new water heater. By the time it was all said and done, I felt like I'd been taken. But what else could I do?
The smartest thing you can do is get a home warranty from American Residential Warranty. Their home warranties pay to repair or replace all your major appliances when they break, and they will break, and at the worst possible time. Call American Residential Warranty right now for free information on home warranties starting at just pennies a day. Don't wait for your refrigerator to stop running or your ceiling fans to stop turning. Call American Residential Warranty right now. Ask how you can save up to 50% on washer and dryer coverage. Just call 1-800-790-5960. That's 1-800-790-5960. Again, 1-800-790-5960. Call now.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification required. Cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 $20 a month. Dish, call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did.
Attention taxpayers. If you've received a notice from the IRS or state, do not ignore it. It's also a big mistake to try and handle your tax problem on your own. If you owe back taxes, it's a fact that the government has the power to take everything you own, including your home, business, wages, savings, and your freedom. But here's the good news. There's a special toll-free tax hotline set up especially for you. This tax hotline will tell you about new programs that are geared to help you dramatically settle, reduce, or eliminate what you owe. But you have to call now. Take down this number or put it in your cell phone. But call 866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959. When you call, you get free information on how you can reduce or eliminate back taxes, including penalties and interest. You can also be helped if you have unfiled returns, a tax lien, wage garnishment, bank levy, or if you've been entered into a payment plan but can't make the payments. Don't make the big mistake in thinking you can ignore or handle your tax problem on your own. You can stop the collection process immediately. Call this special tax hotline today for free info at 1-866-761-0959. That's 1-866-761-0959. 1-866-761-0959.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. Okay, hey, we're back. And you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who, like I said, is on vacation right now. So we're just letting him enjoy his time. And we have with us Audrey Russo from Real Talk Radio out there in the great state of New York, which, by the way, didn't turn for Donald Trump as we thought it would. But no. I guess it doesn't really matter at this point, except it has allowed Hillary Clinton to say that she's gotten more of the popular vote between California and New York, all those dead Democrats that are voting out there.
Dead anybody.
Somebody sent me the greatest meme this morning. Two guys, they have like badges. The thing that made me laugh was they had badges, like press passes or whatever. Like when you go into a corporation now, you got to have a pass around your neck. Mm-hmm. And they're bending over a tombstone. And it says underneath it, Democrats begin their recount. And I thought, how appropriate. It's still a very volatile issue here that I find on social media when I mention the fact that there is such a thing as voter fraud. And now all of a sudden the Democrats seem to agree, because they lost. But anyway, yeah, I really thought New York might have turned for Donald Trump, but I guess that wasn't the case. So what's the noise you're hearing out there in your end of the woods?
Well, of course, we have the paid protesters out in the street, and you have de Blasio who's not going to really do anything about it until you have some of the retailers there on Fifth Avenue say something about it, because remember, it's the Christmas season, it's the biggest shopping season, and they don't want anybody to be hindered, any business to be hindered. So we'll see what happens with that.
I heard there was a big deal being made about Trump Tower, that the amount of traffic that is coming into that place right now has actually kept some of the shops and businesses from being able to do business because people are out there, I guess, taking pictures and stuff. I think the estimate I was hearing was the average flow of traffic is like 400 or 500 people an hour, and now it's like 10,000 an hour or something like that.
Yeah, no, it's not that many. But yeah, of course, obviously you're going to get more traffic because that's where he lives.
Yeah.
I mean, he may be at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, but that's still his, his home. And so
another thing I heard, and I really kind of expect this. I was listening to the CNN morons last night,
And they were talking about the fact that they don't really expect to see Donald Trump hanging around Pennsylvania Avenue too much because he's not the kind of guy that wants to be confined to an office. He's out there. He's out there doing things. So, I and from what I understood, they were making a big deal. What's his name? De Blasio was making a big deal about the cost of security at Trump Tower. And so Trump said, hey, screw you. He moved the whole operation to New Jersey.
Yeah, really. I mean, and he shouldn't talk. He's a moron. I'm sorry. But, he is.
Yeah.
He didn't even think he was going to get that job. But the other guy on our side ran such a incredibly hideous and foolish campaign that he put him in office. That's what happened.
Yeah. What do you think of Barack Obama's claim that it was Fox News that cost him the election?
Cost who the election? Cost him?
Cost the Democrats.
Oh. Well, I won't even respond to that. I mean, that's the biggest reach I've ever seen. Fox, don't give him that so much credit,
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I was saying if it was only that easy to say it was Fox News, but there was nobody on Fox News that was really pro-Trump outside of Hannity. And so, I don't, but Obama will blame everybody but himself. This wasn't a mandate on him. We had all the governorships that were lost under him, the seats that were lost not only in the House of Representatives but across state legislators. And he's still out there saying it's just because what he's saying in essence is the reason Hillary Clinton lost is because she's not me. That's really what he's saying.
Yeah. I wouldn't be surprised if he actually said that.
Yeah, I mean, he did in so many words. She didn't, I won Iowa. Like, okay, so what?
It's ridiculous. Come on. Yeah, but sure. She there's many reasons why she didn't win. She's a hag, and I'm being nice. There's so many reasons why she didn't win. And I guess you could say because she wasn't him, because she didn't have his skin hue. If she did, she would have had a chance. Even though she's the criminal that she is, unindicted criminal that she is. Let's put it that way.
Yeah. I firmly believe that everybody. This is my argument about the gender thing. I think I've expressed to you before. I don't think women should be in office at this level because I think I just don't think.
I agree.
Yeah, I just don't think it's the assigned role. I look at things biblically. It's not the assigned role. It's not that women aren't capable. I just don't think it's that where they're supposed to be. But the big thing was made about her was that she was a woman, and she was a woman with all this experience, but yet her campaign was based on riding the coattails of her husband and Barack Obama.
Right.
And so and I think she just went into this thing thinking, hey, this is mine. It's mine to lose, what she did. But it was like nobody really gave any thought to really any entertaining thought that Donald Trump would make it out of the primaries. When he did, certainly couldn't be selected for president. I mean, and I'm just laughing because I listen to the media now, and they still haven't caught on. They still don't know why they've lost. They still don't get it. I thought I saw a very funny tweet from Kellyanne Conway after they reelected Nancy Pelosi as a minority leader, and she said, "What a relief! I thought maybe they learned something from the election." She said, "Yeah, I not to sound like I'm on the same level with Kellyanne Conway, but that was my reaction to was I posted on social media." Whew, I thought for a moment there they had a moment of clarity, and they realized that, hey, we need to change some things. And I'm so glad. I was talking with Bob Cardoso the first hour here, and I'm saying I feel like Chris Matthews. I now know what that thrill down the leg feels like because I had it when they told me Nancy Pelosi was going to retain her leadership in the minority. I'm thinking, what better thing could we ask for? I mean, let's keep this Botox in power. Let's do that.
I am thrilled that they don't get it because they're going to keep losing. don't get it. And I, not because he was my candidate, but because I want to see us succeed. And you could never succeed under the policies of Barack Obama, and definitely not over. Well, they were the same policies that Hillary had. So you could never, ever, ever succeed under that, because there was slouching toward Europe.
Yeah. I totally agree. I totally agree. It was like. I was listening to him talk last night on CNN for a short time. Van Jones and Don Lemon. And Van Jones, I guess, actually ventured out into Trump country out there in Ohio or someplace, and came up, and it really was very complimentary of Trump supporters. Hey, these people are not stupid like everybody thought. They're very articulate. They know, they're angry, but they're angry because they feel like they've been misrepresented. And Don Lemon countered. He said, well, there's a lot of blacks out there that feel like they've been misrepresented, and I just can't figure out why both of these people that are misrepresented can't get together and talk. And I'm thinking, well, the reason being is because you've told all of us that we're bigots and racists, and so why should we talk to you? That kind of thing, and they were going back and forth, and nobody singled in on what's going on. You guys put up a lousy candidate. You put up somebody who should be in prison right now, and the people figured it out, and enough people figured it out. Hey, they don't want business as usual. They don't want the template Republican, and Donald Trump, with all his, in my opinion, inability to articulate things sometimes. He still hits the mark. People still know what he's saying, and they still agree with him. So, hey, I'm all for that. I can go for that. I wanted to ask you, Secretary of State, this is the big debate right now.
Yeah.
Mitt Romney, Rudy Giuliano, and John Bolton are the big three that I hear about the most time. I'm just not keen on the idea of putting Mitt Romney in the inner circle at all.
I'm not keen on putting him as dog catcher if he still had that.
Well, I did find a position for him. If I was going to choose somebody to overhaul the VA, I might want Romney to do something like that.
No, I wouldn't. No. Why didn't he serve? Why didn't his son serve?
I'm sorry?
Why didn't he serve? Why didn't his son serve? I don't want somebody like that working in the VA.
Oh, well, that's a valid argument. I'm just thinking the guy got a long history of being able to restructure large entities from failure to success, and I just thought, that would, if I was going to use his experience, that would be the one place I think
but I'll tell you why I wouldn't use him at all in the administration. He went out of his way to not only disparage Trump, but he disparaged his supporters. And he did it on CNN. He did it in front of Wolf Blitzer, saying he didn't want trickle-down racism or trickle-down bigotry. You know what? And that's what he said about his character and the character of those that support him. So he deserves a big flush, okay? That's what he deserves.
Oh, I totally agree with you. I'm just saying if I was going to use him for anything, that would be where I'd want to stick him. But I agree. I don't think it's wise to put anybody of Mitt Romney's
character
in their inner circle so that he can turn around and use whatever's going on to circumvent you should you decide to run for re-election in 2020. That's how I would see it. He would be a direct conduit to the establishment. Hey, this is what Trump is going to do. How can we undercut him? How can how can we make sure that he doesn't succeed at anything? So he's a one-term president. We can get Jeb or Kasich in there in 2020.
There's no here's how you know. See, you step back and you look at the character. He's talking about he lied about Trump's character, but this is a man who slammed him, went out of his way, was none of his business, went out of his way to disparage him, to try to cause him to lose, okay, which didn't work. And then he gets asked to come in to interview for a or at least get checked out for a spot, and he comes in. And I'm thinking, so if you really thought that about him, why did you come in? Why would you want to be part of the administration that you said was trickle-down racism, trickle-down bigotry? So that tells you something about his character, which means he could flip back again.
Yeah.
So you don't want somebody like that around.
Yeah, I agree 100%, because I just see there's nothing to be gained from this. And you know, the argument that Bob was presenting when I was talking in the first hour is that, well, he would be that bridge to the establishment. I'm saying, well, but we don't want a bridge to the establishment. You
have Reince Priebus, so you're fine. You know, I mean, there's your arm right there there's your olive branch.
Yeah, you know, there are already some
enough.
Others. There's already some other signs here. When we get back here, I got to go to break. When we get back here, I want to ask you about some of the picks that have already been announced, and I wanted to get your take on it. Another one that really troubles me is his choice for transportation secretary. And we'll talk about that when we get back here. We have Audrey Russo from Real Talk Radio. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We'll be right back. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, the adults in the room.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardoso. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardoso Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosolive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosolive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Limited time offer, 24-month commitment and credit qualification require cancellation fee, auto pay, and paperless billing and other restrictions apply. If you can't see the difference, why pay the difference? Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Only Dish brings you the best in entertainment for less than $20 a month. Cut the cable and don't get directed. Switch to Dish because at just $19.99, Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. It's so simple. The same channels cost less with Dish. So since you can't see the difference, don't pay the difference. Switch to Dish for the best deal in entertainment. Get premium movie channels free for 3 months, starting at just $19.99. Dish saves you every time you turn on the TV. Call now to save with Dish. Dial 1-800-600-1645. That's 1-800-600-1645. The same channels for less than $20 a month. Dish. Call 1-800-600-1645 for details.
Since its founding, America has always been admired and envied throughout the world for its system of government, one that empowers its citizens to seek their right to life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. No other country or nation in history has benefited from its diversity simply due to the opportunities available to anyone from anywhere. But there have been and are those who envy our freedom for a very different reason. And today we find ourselves as never before being threatened by this formidable foe intent on our destruction. For this reason, Act for America exists. Act for America is the nation's largest nonprofit, nonpartisan, grassroots national security organization with over 300,000 members and 1,000 chapters focused on educating, engaging, and mobilizing citizens and elected officials to impact legislative outcomes to protect America against terrorism both here and abroad. As a result, our network has driven the education process toward the successful passage of 43 bills in 22 states. We continue to expand our nationwide volunteer chapter network, training citizens to recognize and help prevent criminal activity and terrorism in the United States while preserving the civil liberties protected by the United States Constitution. To find out more, check us out at actforamerica.org. That's actforamerica.org.
Don't get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction.
Okay, hey, we're back, and you are listening to the Conservative Syndicate. Real conservative talk from Real Conservatives. I'm your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, who's on vacation, which should be back with us on Monday. But we have with us right now Audrey Russo from Real Talk Radio out there in the great state of New York. And we're talking about Trump's picks right now. We talked just before the break here about whether or not, what's his name, Mitt Romney would be good. A good choice. Well, we know that. I mean, that's a no-brainer. I personally, though, I would think out of the short list that I'm hearing, I think John Bolton would probably be the best choice. What do you think?
Yeah, he would be because of his experience. He's worked for the State Department before, but Giuliani still would also be good.
Yeah, now explain to me why, because I just have a gut check with Rudy. I love the guy. I think he's great. He's a great spokesperson. He's kind of like, to me, Rudy is to me what Sarah Palin was to John McCain in 2008. Just a great person to be out there in the front lines carrying the message. But I just don't see him as somebody dealing in foreign policy.
He would, to me, give the balance that's been woefully needed there in the State Department. It's very, very pro-Arab. He tilted back the other way toward Israel. So would Bolton, but there's no balance there. It's very pro-Arab in the State Department.
Okay. All right, I would just give the kudos to Bolton just because I think there's probably nobody that understands the UN better, which means there's nobody that has a better grasp of what's going on out there in the Middle East in the big picture, keeping things in the big picture.
But ideally, sure, absolutely, I would want Bolton, but I don't know. He met with him just recently, and I think he also met with Giuliani. Honestly, he owes Giuliani a position in his cabinet. He went out. He's a little older than Trump, but he doesn't have the kind of Trump has got an amazing amount of God-given energy constantly. Giuliani doesn't. He's been sick in the past as well. Right. So I think that he owes him. He's been out on the stump for him throughout the campaign, and he's going to have to give him a position. So we'll see.
Yeah. We'll see what happens. That's something to take in consideration because if Rudy has anything else to do, he's got to beat Hillary's frequent flyer mileage record. And, I did figure out something that Hillary did do that we can pat her on the back for when she was in the State Department. Apparently, she handed out at least 35 wreaths at ceremonies throughout the world. So, okay, we'll give her that.
Okay. Oh my gosh!
Yeah, kind of like the Avon lady, you know.
Yeah, I won't give her that because that was on our tax dollars. So,
all right.
In her own pocket, I'd say okay.
A couple of the other ones out there that have kind of drawn my attention. Betty DeVos for the Education Secretary, and I guess her big claim to fame is that she has, in private sector, worked to bring about the use of vouchers for private schools rather than public schools. She's a big anti-advocate or against Common Core, which is major points for me. Anybody's against Common Core.
She's for pro-charter schools as well.
Yeah. So what's your take on her? And you know what I really like about her? This is the one thing I like about her. I picked up these little notes on her. She has donated a lot of money to the Republican Party, but she was a Carly Fiorina person.
Mm-hmm.
She threw a lot of money at Carly Fiorina, and then ended up in the Marco Rubio camp, which if we were going to go with anybody that was kind of an establishment type, Rubio, I would have been okay with Rubio as a nominee. I would have watched him like a hawk, but I would have been okay with him. I think, he's young enough that he could be what's the word I'm thinking of? He could be gleaned the proper way. So Trump was, I think, very magnanimous there by picking somebody that actually wasn't in his camp to begin with, but understands, hey, we can do something here. So what's your take on her?
I don't know a great deal about her. I know about, what you shared. That is good enough for that position. Charter schools and vouchers is really critical to start breaking up the NEA, the National Education Association. They're like a pit bull on the school system, and they help promote and keep teachers that should not be there. They prevent teachers from doing what they need to do with students. They've made a mess out of our system. It's the dumbing down of our education system, and you can thank them for that. You can thank the left for that. And parents need to have a choice. They need to take the schools back because that belongs to them. That's where their kids go. That's where their tax dollars go. And they need to know. Too many just surrendered this to to either their schools or to the education department, and let them start to decide what is right. And it's time for parents to take that back. And in this case, I think she'll help in this area.
Yeah, one of the big arguments we hear from the left is that if we downsize some of these bureaucracies, or as Trump's saying, the big tax cuts. Okay, he wants to give the tax cuts, and that's going to balloon the deficit. It's going to balloon the budget.
That's bull.
Yeah. Well, my thought is, if you were to let's take the Department of Education, which I believe should be abolished. I don't even think it should exist. And you say,
I agree.
You say the states, the tax dollars that have been coming in at the federal level no longer come into the federal government. And you, as a state, you go to your people and say, hey, we're going to funnel that money into us. Your state taxes may go up, but that money is going to go into the coffers for state education, and the state is going to decide. And you, as the voters, tell the state what it is you want. Mm-hmm. See, that's how you downsize government and at the same time reduce the budget. You just say, okay, well, the federal government's no longer going to take these tax dollars. We're going to use the states. You guys decide what you want to do. We're going to quit taxing the taxpayer for these things, and you decide with your people what you want to do and how much you want to tax them, and let them determine how that money is going to be spent. That, to me, seems the most practical way of killing two birds with one stone. What do you think?
Sure. Look, this is the big lie. The big lie is, if you reduce taxes, then the deficit goes up. Lie. You reduce taxes, people have more money, the revenue increases, people spend it. Instead, they're busy stealing the money from the people, little by little by little, incrementally, until look how overburdened we are with taxes.
Right.
He wants to lower them. First of all, when you lower the corporate tax from 35 to 15%, everybody gets blessed with that, not just the companies. Right. They can hire more people. They can expand more jobs and more revenue. They don't even understand economics. But it's lies and lies and fear mongering, and we'll just take a look. We have an example across the pond. What happened with Greece? Okay,
mm-hmm.
What happened? Look at this is the system, and it's very important. And they say, oh well, it's not good that he wants to give them a $7 million, talking about Carrier, telling them he's going to give them a $7 million tax break. That's very good. And I'll tell you why. The government is not supposed to impede the free market. It's supposed to create an environment where it can grow. It can't grow if it's burdened by $7 million of taxes, can it?
No, I agree 100%. And the big argument I'm hearing out of the left media, out of the media from the left, is that, and we're going to hear this all down the line here, is that Trump has the right idea, but he has the wrong method. It's going to be...
they're always going to say that. Oh, my gosh.
Yeah, well, these people, they've got blinders on. I mean, like I said, in the same way that they haven't figured out why they lost, they haven't figured out why their policies don't work. It's that old adage. Well, Obama basically preached the doctrine that socialism hasn't worked because nobody has done it the way that I do it.
Yes, right, exactly. They were all idiots, and he's the smartest man on earth.
Yeah.
And he's the one that's going to, because they didn't do it his way. And the reason he failed is because we didn't let him become king, so this way he can do it and wipe us all out, I mean, then we really are the proletariat, and they really are the ruling class. Yeah, sure, we've seen that, and I think that ended up with some chopping off of heads in France, okay? Then you got your revolution again, and it starts all over again. You can't do that. It failed, and it failed because people, this is greed, this is lust for money and power, and it continues because these people, it's the same stupid ideas over and over again, and they just think that they know what's best. And look, I see this in nursery school, and this is what you have even with everything you see with the left. Just think of it that way. It's like an infant. They're infantile in their thinking because you know what? It's our turn now. Now it's our turn. No, it's not. It doesn't work that way. It doesn't work that way for president. Oh, well, we need a woman now. Now it's our turn. No, it's not. That's not a qualification.
Yeah, I get that. I agree with you 100%. You're reading my mail on that one. I'm just like, I was reading today about this panel that took place between people that ran the Trump campaign and people that ran the Hillary Clinton campaign. They faced off against each other. And it was funny listening to Robbie Mook because he kept contradicting himself. He would say something to the effect that Hillary won the popular vote, but we didn't get enough people. That kind of stuff. And finally, Kellyanne Conway just yells across the table at him. I don't know what the distance was between the tables, but I know they said they were long tables facing each other. And she said, hey, you guys lost. And you lost because you put up a crappy candidate. Okay,
it's crappy candidate, and you have crappy policies.
Yeah.
We've been suffocating under them for 8 years, and they were no different. And they're not going to change their policies anyway. Mook is a real schmuck. He really is. I mean, I saw him on some of the shows. They were asking him her positions on things, and he was saying, "Well, you really should ask her that." And they go, "Well, aren't you on here so that we can ask you?" It was amazing to me. I don't want to give an opinion on that. It's up to her to answer a question.
Yeah,
and
I know.
Thinking, so what the hell are you doing? Campaign.
He reminded me so much of that guy Ryan Reynolds in the movie Definitely Maybe. Did you ever see that movie?
Yeah.
I'm listening to this guy talk, and every time he talks, I'm thinking of Ryan Reynolds in that movie, the big Clinton advocate. Like, okay. Look, we got to go to our quick.
Yeah, but the Dems think is they didn't lie enough to everyone to win. That's what it was.
We got to go to our quick break here. We've got Audrey Russo from Real Talk Radio. Stay with us right here at the Conservative Syndicate. We got a lot more for you. There is an old saying, children should be seen but not heard. At no time is this more apparent than when politicians speak. The ConservativeSyndicate.net, the adult in the room.
Hey folks, if you're like me, you don't place a whole lot of trust in today's media for the real truth and facts regarding the volatile world of finance and politics. When I want the real scoop on money, I go to the most trusted source I know, my good friend and colleague, Bob Cardosa. Bob is a noted expert with a PhD in international finance who airs his nationally known, globally syndicated show, Robert Cardosa Live Daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. With Bob, you get the right information at the right time from someone who knows his business and can help you make the right decisions concerning yours. Again, Bob airs daily, Monday through Friday, 3 to 5 p.m. Pacific Time. Visit his website at robertcardosalive.com for information regarding stations and topics. That's robertcardosalive.com. Check Bob out. You'll be glad you did. History affirms a vibrant civil society thrives on freedom of conscience, religion, and choice. Any society absent these qualities stifles individual responsibility and accountability, thus enslaving its people by denying them their potential for goodness, creativity, and altruism. To that extent, oppression, coercion, and totalitarianism are multiplied exponentially. To counter such outcomes, the American Freedom Alliance was formed. The AFA is a nonpartisan, non-aligned movement which promotes, defends, and upholds Western values and ideals. The Alliance strives to build an international coalition of citizens of the West who together promote and protect moral values, democracy, and freedom. To find out more and become part of this valuable asset in the preservation of freedom and all its rewards, contact us at AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. That's AmericanFreedomAlliance.org. Let freedom ring.
Get your panties all in a bunch.
The Conservative Syndicate.net, exposing weapons of mass distraction. All right, hey, we're back. The Conservative Syndicate, real conservative talk from real conservatives, and I am your host, John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos. And just a quick reminder here, you want to catch the show, maybe listen to it again, share it with your friends, or better yet, share it with your enemies. I love it when I hear about people giving our show out there to liberals. It's just the best way to kind of, slap them into give them a little slap of reality out there. Go to our website, theconservativesyndicate.net. We've got Audrey Russo from Real Talk Radio who streams her show. It's on Thursdays, and I believe, if I'm right, 6 o'clock out there on the East Coast?
No, actually, it's 8 o'clock.
8 o'clock. Well, I knew it was a 50-50 guess here. I knew 6 and 8 popped into my head, and I was thinking, I guess I get locked into our time frame out here. I don't think I'll ever adjust to time zones. I just don't.
Well, I have to have, actually, I deal with so many time zones with guests. I mean, I have to deal with not just our cousins across the pond, but then down in South Africa, and they're way, and then Israel. So I have to have a map in front of me to see what time it is there and what time it is here before I schedule it, because it's been screwed up a few times. Yeah.
Yeah, I know. We're having Jonathan Dunn on the show Monday, Wednesday next week, and he's over in Ireland. And so it was like it took me 3 messages to figure out the time difference. He knew it right off the top, but I'm like, okay.
Yeah, they're more acclimated to that because, everybody kind of has to deal with us mostly. We're still the marketplace now. We're going to be the marketplace again.
Yeah. So anyway, let's get into a couple other choices here. We got I don't know if we'll get in. Well, we'll go as fast as we can here. Tom Price, who's a 6th-term Republican congressman. He was a surgeon in private sector, serves out in Atlanta. And he has already, actually when Obamacare was being written, had already introduced legislation which is called the Empowering Patients First Act. And his idea or his plan, I don't know how close it is to Trump's, is to repeal the Affordable Care Act and then offer age-adjusted tax credits for the purpose of individual and family health insurance policies, tax credits for buying health insurance for the family, and then health savings accounts, and then grants to states to subsidize insurance for high-risk populations. I guess that high-risk populations would be liberals. Allow insurers licensed in one state to sell policies in others, and authorize business and professional groups to provide coverage through association health plans. So that sounds like a complete conglomeration of things that we heard throughout the Obamacare tenure, as we can look at it now. And this guy actually had this all in place back when Obamacare was being written. So
I think it's brilliant. I think it's brilliant. I think it covers everything.
Yeah, and he also wants to bar funds for Planned Parenthood. That's part of his thing here, too.
Which is also brilliant. Look, they get enough donations from, questionable individuals. So they do not need our money. We don't want our money going to Planned Parenthood.
Yeah, I'm wondering whose mailing list I made it on, because I actually received a solicitation from Planned Parenthood the other day.
Well, I guess they're getting prepared. I don't know why you would be on the list, but they're getting prepared because it's going to be cut. They're not going to get our tax dollars anymore. They don't need it. They don't need it, and we don't want to be a party to murder.
Well, I was thinking it was such a nice little piece of paper they sent me, and they probably spent $5 printing it.
Right.
And I thought I might I just might frame this just for the purpose I can say, yeah, look, they used to. Somebody thinks I'm a liberal, so
Right.
I get all the emails from the Obama campaign and the Clinton campaign and the DNC and all the rest of them. So somebody sold my name to somebody. I think David Axelrod's behind it. But
somebody did that, maybe messing with you.
Okay, the big one here, Elaine Chao.
Oh, yeah.
Mitch McConnell's wife.
Gee, why did he pick her? I'm not saying she's not an intelligent woman. I'm not saying that she wouldn't be, I'm not saying that she wouldn't be good in the position. I just think that it was a olive branch to the Senate.
Yeah, that was my thinking. This is some way of, what better way to stroke Mitch McConnell than to put his wife in charge of something?
Exactly, and that's what happened there.
Yeah. But I think one of the issues that we're going to run down here, because some of these people have some issues out there. We know that they're going to come after Tom Sessions because I guess at some point in time, 20, 30 years ago, he made some racial statement. So they're going to try to use that. But Elaine Chao's husband is actually, I did some research on this because I was really kind of upset that Trump would do this, but I understand what he's doing. I just don't agree with it. But her father was actually a schoolmate or friend of the former president of China.
Mm-hmm.
They were buddies. Okay, I'm trying to think. Maybe I didn't keep it here. I didn't keep it. Okay. Anyway, her father is the one that actually funded Mitch McConnell into office initially back in the 90s.
Mm-hmm.
So I look at this kind of stuff and I'm thinking, and it explains a lot why Mitch McConnell has such a user-friendly view towards China.
Well, of course. Yeah.
But here's something that's even more, I think, disturbing that they may try to bring up. James Chao, which is Elaine's father, owns a shipping company called Foremost Group, and they were busted in Colombia for transporting cocaine.
Oh, what?
And they're still, I guess there's still some kind of investigation, but one of their ships sitting in a Colombian dock was searched and they found over 60 pounds of cocaine locked away in one of the rooms back in the ship. Now, I don't know if the owner of the company, John Chao, knew of it or if the ship was being used, without his knowledge or whatever, but you know how the left is going to play that.
Well, sure, but I don't think that there's going to be any problem, with her.
Yeah.
But she is establishment, as McConnell is establishment, and I just think that immediately when I heard that, I said, that's him, extending an olive branch to McConnell.
Yeah, I just, here it is. Here's a little clip I found on it here. McConnell's ties to Chow's go back to the late 1980s when James Chao began donating to the senator. In 1993, McConnell married James' daughter Elaine, a Republican activist and former Reagan administration official who would later serve as Secretary of Labor in the George W. Bush cabinet. She was the only person to stay with the Bush administration for his entire term, both terms. And they go on to explain about how this guy circumvents taxes and stuff with a shipping company by listing all of his companies under the Liberian flag.
Yeah.
So that's these kind of things. I don't know. It may not. It's not that. I don't think it's that she won't get confirmed, but I think the left will try to use it for some brownie points.
They might. I don't think they're going to go there, to be honest.
Yeah. Okay. Well, and then we have how much time? Oh, we're out of time here. We're out of time. You got about 30 seconds, Audrey,
don't miss the show.
Yeah,
Rich
push your
Little.
show.
That's Rich Little is going to be with us. Yeah, that's right. The Impressionist. He's going to be there. He's fabulous. And Diamond and Silk are going to be back, and Jed Babin. So it's a great show. Don't miss it.
All right. I thank you so much, dear, and we'll talk to you again next week. Have a good weekend.
Thank you. You too. God bless.
All right. God bless you. Okay, guys, we're coming up in the end of the show here. I kind of went over there. We'll be back on the air Monday, same time, 3 o'clock out here on the West Coast and 6 o'clock on the East Coast and every zone in between because it's prime time sometime, all the time somewhere. And we're glad you took the time to join us. We will get back to our discussion on the Electoral College on Monday, and I'm hoping Joe will be back with us by then because I'm sure he can give us some insight that on things that I just sometimes overlook or don't see or don't think is important, and then he plugs it in the right place and it becomes important. That's one of the great assets of having somebody like Joe Hakos with me. So we'll be back on Monday. Don't forget our website, the conservativesyndicate.net. Pick up our archives, find out anything you want to know about the show, the people that are part of our panel, what we do, why we do it. God bless you all, and we'll talk to you on Monday.
Thanks for tuning in to this edition of the Conservative Syndicate, the nationally acclaimed, globally syndicated, politically incorrect talk show that seeks to tear down the imaginary wall of separation between church and state. We want to make you aware you can find and access all our show archives at our website, theconservativesyndicate.net, as well as our broadcast stations and times. That's theconservativesyndicate.net. We so appreciate you taking the time to tune in, and we so look forward to continuing to bring you the best in uncompromised talk radio available on the net today. And remember, folks, it doesn't matter how many times you get knocked down in life. It only matters how many times you get up. I'm John Matthews, along with Joe Hakos, signing off until next time right here at the Conservative Syndicate. God bless you, and may God continue to bless America.